Thank you for joining me for this brief video that walks through performing a pipette calibration using Artelware and the Artel PCS system. I've got some great information to show you, so let's go ahead and get started. You'll notice that within Artelware, I am logged in as Operator 1. Users that have operator permissions have limited permissions to perform pipette calibrations and liquid handler verifications and instrument calibrations. So my home screen looks a little bit empty compared to other home screens because my permissions are limited. There are several ways to begin a pipette calibration within the Artelware software. The first way is to click on the Pipettes Due bar. You'll notice there's a red triangle with a white exclamation mark inside of it. This means that there are some overdue items. If I click on the Pipettes Due box, I can then see which of these items have a red triangle next to them, indicating that they're overdue for calibration. If you look over on the right-hand side, you'll see that the next due date is 7/18. Today is July 19th, so this pipette is overdue by 1 day. If I click on this second pipette, it has a next due date of 7/16, so it's overdue by a couple of days. I'm going to go ahead and return home because I want to start the calibration from a different screen. You can also start calibrations by clicking on the Calibrate Pipette shortcut. Now, one word of caution, if your pipette is attached to a schedule, be sure to select Scheduled Calibration on this screen and not Ad Hoc Calibration. Selecting Ad Hoc Calibration will cause the pipette to not reschedule for its next interval, which means the pipette would still be due. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this screen because there's another way I'm going to perform this calibration. Lastly, there's one more way that you can get to a calibration screen, and that's by clicking on the calibration icon on the far left navigation panel. Again, when you click on this screen, just be careful. There's an option to perform a scheduled pipette calibration as well as an ad hoc pipette calibration. If your pipettes are attached to schedules, please be sure to always select the Scheduled Pipette section. I'm going to return to the home screen once again so that I can show you my favorite way to perform a pipette calibration. My favorite and fastest way, in my opinion, to perform a pipette calibration is to click on the Scan Barcode box. The Scan Barcode box assumes that you've printed a barcode ID label for your pipette within the Artelware software when you created it. Let's go ahead and click on Scan Barcode. Once I've scanned the barcode, I'm presented with a few different options. Today, I'll be performing a scheduled calibration, so I'll click on that box. The next screen is just asking me to confirm, is this the pipette that I'm wanting to calibrate? Is this the schedule and the calibration plan that I'm looking to calibrate as well? It's correct. So I'll go ahead and select Start Calibration. I'll select the PCS instrument that's attached to this computer, and I'll click OK. I'll follow the screen prompts in the Artelware software to scan the QualiSure bottle and any other vials as appropriate. Because my instrument was just turned on for the day, I need to zero it with the Cal-A vial. So I'll go ahead and scan that Cal-A vial. I'll clean off the bottom of the Cal-A vial with a lint-free wipe. Then I'll insert it with the vertical line on the Cal-A label facing forward, and I'll close the lid. I'm now being asked to scan the blank vial. The blank vial is the vial that has the blue solution inside of it. Now that I've scanned it, I'll remove the cap, and I'll go ahead and insert the blank vial inside the instrument. Blank vials can be inserted into the vial holder any way that you'd like. We now see that Artelware is prompting that it's ready for me to dispense the first sample into the blank vial that's inside the PCS instrument. Before I do that, let's go ahead and talk about some important information that's on the screen. You can see that I have a target volume of 2 microliters, a reminder that I need to be using QualiSure Solution 4. The system is telling me that I'm testing a single channel pipette that has 10 replicates, and you can also see my predetermined tolerance limits for inaccuracy and imprecision. I defined those a bit earlier on. Let's go ahead and start dispensing. As I perform my dispenses, I'll make sure that I dispense below the label that's on the blank vial, but not in the blank vial solution itself. It's always a good idea to dispense against the side of the glass wall as well. Once I've made my first dispense, I'll go ahead and close the cover. And now the vortexer inside the instrument is going to shake the two dies together, and I'll have a volume in just a moment. So now you can see my first volume is 2.024. I've got a green box for inaccuracy because I've only got one result, and it's within my limit of plus or minus 15% for inaccuracy. I'll go ahead and take my other 9 replicates now. You'll now notice that I have a green box for imprecision. In order to calculate imprecision, you need at least 2 replicates dispensed. Green boxes for inaccuracy and imprecision is a good thing. That means I'm within my preset tolerances that I've set for those 2 specifications. The system will keep running tolerances for every dispense that I make. I've just completed my 9th dispense, and now the system is asking me for my 10th dispense. If you take a look at the inaccuracy and imprecision boxes, you'll see that they're still green because I'm well within those pre-established tolerance limits that I set for those statistics. I'm going to have you watch those green boxes closely because I'm going to make them turn red in just a moment. You'll notice that the box for imprecision has just turned red. That's because I accidentally forgot to dispense my sample into the system itself. Once you've completed all of your dispenses for a particular volume, you have the opportunity to redo any of the data points. I'm going to go ahead and redo data point number 10. So I'll select data point number 10 in the data grid, and I'll click on Redo Replicate. I've entered the reason for this redo, and I'll go ahead and select OK. The system is now prompting me to make another dispense at 2 microliters. Now that I've dispensed another 2 microliter dispense, if I take a look at my statistics, I'm well within those specifications. My inaccuracy is 1.57, and my imprecision is 0.66, well within the pre-established ranges of 15 and 10, respectively. The system now says Review Data and select Next Volume to continue. I've reviewed my data. Everything looks good. There aren't any other replicates that I want to redo at this time. It's important that if you want to do any redos, you have to do them before you move on to the next volume. Let's go ahead and select Next Volume and continue to the next volume I'm going to calibrate on this particular pipette. The next volume that I'm testing on this pipette is 10 microliters. You can see that my current target volume has changed to 10 microliters. I'm being reminded that I need to use QualiSure Solution 3. Again, I'm taking 10 replicates, and you can see my pre-established limits for both inaccuracy and imprecision. Let's go ahead and start taking the replicates at 10 microliters. I've now finished taking each of the 10 replicates at my 10 microliter volume. My instructions are to review the data and select Next Volume to continue. So let's go ahead and scroll through the data and review it. It looks pretty good. A different way to look at the data is by clicking on this Plots tab. This just gives you a graphical representation of what your data looks like in case that's something you're interested in. Let's head back to the Replicates tab. I'm well within my specifications for my imprecision and inaccuracy limits that I established earlier, so I'm pretty happy with this data. Let's go ahead and select Next Volume to continue to the final volume of this pipette calibration. The last and final volume of this pipette calibration is the nominal or highest volume for this pipette, which is 20 microliters. Again, I'm being reminded that the solution I need to be using is QualiSure Solution 3. This is still a single channel pipette. I'm still taking 10 replicates. And again, you can see my predefined limits for both accuracy and imprecision. So let's go ahead and take all of my data at this 20 microliter volume. Okay, you can see that I've completed all of my data at the 20 microliter volume. Let's go ahead and scroll up and down and take a look at all of these data points. Everything looks pretty good to me. Now you have a couple of options for a couple of different things when you get to the end of your calibration. You can always redo a replicate, of course, before you move on to the next volume in any replicate set. But I don't have any replicates that I want to redo. But I would like to enter a comment about this particular calibration. I'm going to click on this Add Comment box. And I'm going to add a comment about the fact that I changed the seal and the O-ring on this pipette. I'll go ahead and select OK. Additionally, you can choose to record the environment of your pipette calibration. Let's go ahead and click on that box. Because I'm an ISO 17025 accredited laboratory, I have to record the environmentals for my pipette calibrations. So I'm going to go ahead and record that information now. I've now completed the recording of my environmental conditions. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Last but not least, you have the option to record the pipette tip that was used for the calibration. If I select Record Pipette Tip, I can then click on the plus sign to add some tip details. Now that I've added the tip information, I'll go ahead and select OK. From here, I can add the lot number for the particular lot of tips that I used. I've already preloaded the tip information previously about these Rain and LTS filter tips. Let's go ahead and add the lot code and click OK. All right, I think I've completed my pipette calibration. I'm going to go ahead and select Finish. I have the Compliance Suite module add-on integrated into my Artelware software, so I'm now being prompted for an electronic signature. I'll go ahead and enter my username and password. I'll click on this I just to show my password and confirm that it's correct, and I'll click on the sign box to complete my electronic signature. From there, I'm being asked to select a reviewer to review this calibration data. By default, Artelware wants the reviewer and the pipette calibration operator to be two different people. I'm going to go ahead and select Reviewer 1 and click on the plus sign to add Reviewer 1 to the Selected Users column. And then I'll select Send. Now we can see my final pipette calibration report. All of the information that you would expect to see on this report is here. Information about the pipette, information about the calibration plan and the calibration ID, information about the statistics. Of course, those are important. We also see information about all of the replicates. Remember that redo that I had performed a bit earlier on? It doesn't go away. It still gets captured on the report, but it's not included in the final statistics. If I continue to scroll, I'll see the information about the materials that I scanned during this pipette calibration, the operator comment that I entered, and the environmental information that I entered as well. And also, remember I entered some tip information? We can see that here on this section too. And if we continue to scroll further, you'll see information about the PCS instrument itself, the firmware that it's using, its next calibration date, its last calibration ID. You'll also see that there's an electronic signature next to the operator field. If you don't have the Compliance Suite module add-on integrated into Artelware, you won't see electronic signature information in the signature field. It will just be blank. You'll notice that the reviewer field is blank because my reviewer needs to review this data. And my approval status is pending for approval because, again, my reviewer has to review this report. Let's go ahead and close this report. I'm now logged on as the reviewer that was selected to review this calibration data. If you have the optional email feature for Artelware, the reviewers can receive automated emails the moment that they're selected to review a calibration report. When a reviewer logs into their home screen, in their Ready for Review bar, they'll see the items that are ready for review. You can see that I have one calibration that has to be reviewed, so let's go ahead and click on that box. Within this screen, you can see that there's a pending status assigned to this calibration report. Let's go ahead and click on View Report. As a reviewer, I'm going to review all of the information on the report, all of the statistics to make sure that they're well within specification. And I'll also review all of the data itself. I'll look for any comments. Then as a reviewer, I'll choose to either approve or reject this pipette calibration data. I'm going to go ahead and select Approve. As a reviewer, I'm being asked for my electronic signature information as well. You can see that I've completed my username, my password, and I've also added an additional comment for the review comment. By default, the review comment will say Calibration Approved. Now, if there is a compatible label printer connected to the reviewer's computer, the reviewer may choose to check the box to print a calibration label the moment this calibration is signed or approved. Let's go ahead and click Sign. My calibration label was just generated. Now if I scroll through my report, if I scroll all the way to the bottom of the report, you'll notice that the approval status is now approved, and you see electronic signature information for both the operator and the reviewer. At this point, I can choose to export this report in a PDF, Word, or Excel format, or I can choose to print the report to a full-size printer. I'm going to close out of the report and return back to the home screen. Now that my pipette has a new calibration sticker, it's ready to be brought back into service, and the calibration is completed. Once a calibration has been reviewed, the operator will see that review on their Review Completed bar on their home screen. I'll go ahead and click on this Pipette Review Completed document. I can see that now the status says Passed, and if I go to view the report, I can actually scroll down to see the reviewer comment. Once I've viewed this report, I can go ahead and close the report and then return back to the home screen. You'll now see that that Review Completed bar is gone, and now all I see is my Do bar and my shortcuts again. This now completes this pipette calibration. Okay, that concludes our brief tutorial. Do you have additional questions? Please contact us at 1-800-225-4034 option 3 or at support@aicompanies.com. Thank you.